Before I begin the video, quick spoiler warning for Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm. I don't go too into detail on the plots, however it's enough to ruin parts of the game. I'll give you a few seconds to click off the video though. Alright, on to the video. Hey, I'm Ghost and I'm a huge fan of the Life is Strange franchise. I played or experienced all of the games in some way. I was so excited to hear that the first two games were getting a remaster with updated lighting and facial animations, to a more stable version of Unreal Engine, and in Before the Storm's case, a port from Unity to Unreal Engine. I didn't rush out to pre-order it or anything, but I was still happy it was happening. I finally bought the remastered bundle last Christmas and played Life is Strange Before the Storm immediately. I hadn't played it before and was excited to play it. I also got round to playing Life is Strange Remastered in little bits of the game whenever I had the urge to play Life is Strange again. While playing Life is Strange Before the Storm Remastered, I didn't notice many bugs or glitches. I only noticed performance issues and graphical errors. For example, in the map for the outside of the Blackwell dorms, the developers added foliage to the ground. This causes lag whenever there's an excess on screen at once, which, while it's not the biggest issue, I think it's worth mentioning. I also experienced the odd crash, and I found that glitches or bugs got more frequent the longer I played the game. It's like the game deteriorated as I played, and at one point the menu screen refused to load most of the assets. My favourite game in the franchise has to be the first game. I've played it too many times to count. I love its story and the game mechanics. I also adore the art style. I think the game has the best characters and plot out of all the games. I thought I was in for a fun time. I was wrong. There were errors. Some were ignorable and funny, like when in episode 3's flashback to before William's death, I accidentally managed to trigger a conversation with him at the time the event to end the flashback sequence hit, causing him to layer both of his voice lines and have broken audio. And when we finished the conversation, he teleported away because he was supposed to be in both places at once. And young Chloe using telekinesis to stir the batter for their breakfast. Here's some video footage of that happening.
I heard there's awful traffic.
We're all going to work at the two-way.
And road construction. So you shouldn't drive at all.
What? Max, you are the road warrior. I promise, if I have to go anywhere, I'll drive like I'm taking it. Fair enough?
Not
Either sure.
really. I just know the roads are bad and stuff. So
Excuse
you...
me, but sure, obviously, my personal GPS. I feel safer already. So don't look so worried, Matt. For us to feast
You are
upon.
ridiculous.
You'll be grateful for that someday. A chocolate cake for dessert. Max.
However, there is a worse issue. In episode 4, I got soft-locked. In the segment in the barn before discovering the dark room for the first time, you have to break a padlock to get into a trapdoor down to it. However, in the remastered, this doesn't exactly go as planned. For context, in the game, you have to get up onto a loft in the barn to push an old motor tied to the padlock hooked up to a pulley system off the loft to break the padlock open. When you push the old motor to break the padlock off, Max gets teleported to the ground, soft locking you because the game thinks you're still up in the loft. Here's some footage of that happening to me. I tried this segment 3 times before giving up for the day. I came back a day later and tried a 4th and 5th time. On the 5th time, I did a convoluted sequence of things before actually completing the puzzle. Here's some footage showing what I did exactly. In the end, it worked, but it should just work without having to do anything outside of the actions you have to do to solve the puzzle. It's infuriating when a glitch or bug is in a remaster when it never was an issue in the original. Another issue I have is with the lighting engine. In an attempt to make the lighting better, they made it slightly more realistic, and while it does look nicer in some parts, in some sections the main character's hair looks darker than it should be, and in segments in the first game that rely on the phone's torch to show you what you're looking for, the light is chained to the phone, which doesn't sound like it's an issue, but the game doesn't move the phone when you move the camera, meaning if you turn the camera to the left or the right to get something, you can't see it. Another small issue I have with the games is that they now fall into the same issue that most, if not all 3D modern games running on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One have. Some texture and images in the game don't load at a high resolution, and leaves blurry pixelated images and scenes. This wasn't an issue in the original games, maybe that's just because of the engine the game was using, or that all the textures were at the same resolution. You know what, maybe the PS5 builds don't have these issues and are more stable. Oh wait, there aren't any. I understand not having a PS5 build of a game if the company doesn't have a PS5 dev kit or are an indie game studio, but this game was included as a bonus for the Ultimate Edition of Life is Strange True Colors, which has a PS5 build. I know it probably sounds like a stupid thing to complain about, but if you're going to make a remaster of a game, would it not make sense to have at least designed a build for the next or current gen hardware? I know I've been very negative and critical of the games, but I don't think that they're completely bad and unnecessary. I think that the improved face animations is a great improvement. The characters are more expressive, which can help players get more immersed in the story. In the original, the characters absolutely felt a bit more dead than they do here. I was honestly blown away by the hurricane lighthouse scene in the final episode. The hair physics and the face animations worked so well together, and it just felt natural.
Without your power, we wouldn't have found her! Okay, so you're not the goddamn Time Master, but you're Maxine Caulfield! And you're amazing!
Another thing I like about the games is that it's all episodes in one. You don't need to buy a season pass or buy the episodes individually. They're all there, and the next one is ready for you after you finish the episode you were just playing. I also don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that Deck 9 are incompetent game developers or that they can't be trusted with the franchise. I genuinely enjoyed Life is Strange True Colors. It has a great story and was completely stable the entire time I spent playing it. I feel like maybe they were rushed to have these remasters come out by a certain date, or that maybe the bugs slipped by during development. I understand that game development is difficult, and I'm sure the developers put their everything into the games. In my opinion, I think while the remasters are in this state, the original games are better. Even though it would cost more for the two games, they're so much more stable, and I've yet to find any glitches or bugs in them. I'm not saying to never buy the remasters, and by no means do I regret buying them. I believe that once the bugs and glitches are patched out, the games will be well worth their money. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. This was Ghost of Speakeasy. Goodbye.